Okay. So yeah, we have the delay of the transition of power because our president is a fascist baby man. Do you think Trump could have won the election if COVID never happened? It's possible. It's definitely possible. It's okay, Raven Ghost. Um, I don't know. The vote was pretty sus. Have you ever looked into Benford's law? Should have voted for panel. Lol. Stop the count. Excuse me. I had some delicious lamb curry earlier today. All right, guys. Here's a story for all of you. Secret Amazon reports expose the company's surveillance of labor and environmental groups. So, guys, are you aware of a little known group called the Pinkertons? The Pinkertons are essentially a very old private security firm. They're used as investigators. They are used as spies. They are used as ways of disorienting and breaking up labor movements, and they have a long history of doing so. So, for example, it was not an uncommon thing in the early 1900s for the Pinkertons to go into like unionization movements and like physically kill somebody in order to incite violence and in order to give the police an excuse to crack down on union organizations. Um, yeah, they were basically like a kind of secret service, but for hire to companies. So they would basically sneak into labor organization or really any kind of protesting groups, like organized protest, in order to break apart the movements and continue the status quo of the companies having power. This was particularly well established in like places like company towns, where like companies literally had almost complete control over everything that went on within the town. Um, yeah, they have an infamous reputation. They are typically there's a reason why when Pinkertons show up in like the Sherlock Holmes novels, they're not the good guys. They're typically the villains in a lot of contemporary stories. And also to this day, they are largely considered villains. They're not good. Hello, Septipus. And also, hello, Sykin Love. I don't believe I've seen you in chat before. Hello, I hope you're having a fantastic time here. Um, Amazon are evil. True! So basically, Amazon is now in bed with an equally evil organization called the Pinkertons. Um, so yeah, they've been using Pinkerton operatives to spy on warehouse workers and the extensive monitor of labor unions, environmental activists, and other social movements. So let's dive into this because I haven't read this article yet. Um, a trove of more than 2 dozen internal Amazon reports reveal in stark detail the company's obsessive monitoring of organized labor and social and environmental movements in Europe, particularly during Amazon's peak season between Black Friday and Christmas. The reports, obtained by Motherboard, were written in 2019 by Amazon intelligence analysts who worked for the Global Security Operations Center, the company's security division tasked with protecting Amazon employees, vendors, and assets at Amazon facilities around the world. The documents show Amazon analysts closely monitor the labor and union organizing activities of their workers throughout Europe. Largely, they focus on Europe because in America, your unions have been so stigmatized that there aren't strong unionization efforts in America. What is a Pinkerton operative? I'm looking at sometime in the mid 1900s, but maybe not related. Reading still. Yeah, a Pinkerton operative is basically a spy, and like again, they go back to like the 1800s. They're an old organization of corporate spies, basically guns for hire for corporations to break apart unions and protest movements. That's essentially what they do. Um, yeah. The documents show Amazon analysts closely monitor the labor and union organizing efforts of their work centers throughout Europe, as well as environmentalists and social justice groups on Facebook and Instagram. They also reveal, and an Amazon spokesman confirmed, that Amazon had hired Pinkerton operatives from the notorious spy agency for its union-busting activities to gather intelligence on warehouse workers. Internal emails sent to Amazon's Global Security Operations Center, uh, AGSOC, obtained by Motherboard, also reveal that all the division's team members around the world receive updates on labor organizing activities at warehouses that include the exact date, time, location, the source who reported the action, the number of participants at the event, and in some cases a turnout rate for those expected to participate in the labor action, and a description of what happened, such as a strike or the distribution of leaflets. Other documents reveal Amazon intelligence analysts keep the close tabs on how many warehouse workers attend union meetings, specific worker dissatisfactions with warehouse conditions, such as excessive workloads, and cases of warehouse worker theft, from a bottle of tequila to $15,000 worth of smartwatches. Jeez Louise. This is a lot of data. They also played in undermining the prohibition, since they were working for many large companies that made alcohol. True! They used to protect railroads and stuff. Yeah. The documents offered an unprecedented look inside the internal security and surveillance apparatus of a company that has vigorously attempted to tamp down employee dissent and previously been caught smearing employees who attempt to organize their colleagues. So guys, here's one of the things, right, that a lot of people don't understand about capitalism, right? It is not in the company's best interest to make sure that you are happy and healthy, because the company is in the interest of making money. And even if it might seem like keeping you happy and healthy would improve your productivity, they would rather have power over you and the power to control your life. The people who run these businesses, they would rather have a workforce that is totally reliant on them than they would have a more efficient and happier workforce. So, like, this is the reason, right? Like, they're surveilling the put on your shock face. I know. But they're surveilling the warehouses. They know exactly how bad the conditions are in the warehouses. They know exactly how close and how many people are upset and how many people want their conditions improved. And rather than improving their conditions and meeting the worker demands, instead what they do is they spend resources to hire spies in order to undermine their efforts. Again, this is why we need to shift from capitalism to socialism, because in a worker-owned company, you don't have to have this weird waste, and you can just prioritize the well-being of workers instead of, like, using the massive profits of the world's largest internet company to spy on your workers with well-known assassins. Like, this is wild. Yeah, to get a one-up over their employees. Like, currently, guys, we live in the United States, we live in a country where private companies would rather, instead of paying you less money, like, instead of, like, having to spend less money by allowing Medicare for all to pass, right? Because that would effectively take 1/3 of the burden of paying for employees off their hands, like, right away. They would save tons of money by doing that. But they don't do it in the United States because it means giving up power over their workforce. And that's what's more important to them. But Jack, doesn't the market system mean that other companies will spring up that treat their workers fairly? No. Because Amazon is so large, it crushes all of the competition. Kind of like how, you have we used to have mom and pop stores all over the United States. Small family businesses, and Walmart just steamrolled all over them, because basically a small family business finds it really, really difficult to compete with a Walmart, because Walmart has the resources to undercut all of their prices in that market until they drive the mom and pop business that is more ethical out of business, like drives them to bankruptcy. So essentially, there are very few tools to directly compete with these monoliths. Also, a Pinkerton security officer was working at a protest as press security and killed a Trump supporter a few months ago. That's right. I was trying to remember why that was ringing a bell in my head. Thank you, Septipus. Yes, a Pinkerton agent did kill a Trump protester, and that was widely blamed on Antifa for some reason, but no, it was a Pinkerton operative. So, wealth is about power, not income. True. True. Because at the level of wealth we're talking about, when you're talking about like the people who own Amazon, they're totally divorced from like the actual value of their money. Like at a certain point, guys, and I think it's like around like a couple $100,000, I think. Like money starts really not to matter all that much, except as like an accessory, right? Like you can live a pretty comfortable life on like $100,000 or $200,000, depending on where you live. There are other places where you can't live a comfortable life on even that much money. Let's see. Is the Pinkerton operative in prison or at least awaiting charges? Yeah, I think so. When people were saying he could be Antifa and a Pinkerton, my brain nearly exploded. Yeah. 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 Goddamn. Yeah. So at a certain level, I'm not gonna say I'll even back away from the $200,000 line, but at a certain level for these people, wealth just becomes an accessory, like a status symbol, and they're just really competing to see who has the most money in their social circles, you know? Happiness is said to be only improved up to 70K annual income. Yeah, I kind of believe that, right? I kind of believe that. All right. The documents offer an unprecedented look inside security. Okay. Vigorously attempted to tamp down employee dissent and has previously been caught smearing employees who attempt to organize their colleagues. Cool. Amazon's approach of dealing with its own workforce, labor unions, and social and environmental movements as a threat has grave implications for its workers' privacy and ability to join labor unions and collectively bargain, and not only in Europe. It should also be concerning that both customers and workers in the United States and Canada and around the world as the company expands into Turkey, Australia, Mexico, Brazil, and India. Amazon intelligence analysts appear to gather information on labor organizing and social movements to prevent any disruptions to order fulfillment operations. The new intelligence reports obtained by Motherboard reveal in detail how Amazon uses social media to track environmental activism and social movements in Europe, including Greenpeace and Fridays for Future, environmental activist Greta Thunberg's global climate strike movement, and perceives such groups as a threat to its operations. In 2019, Amazon monitored the Yellow Vests movement, also known as, I can't pronounce French, a grassroots uprising for economic justice that spread across France, and solidarity movements in Vienna and protests against state oppression in Iran. So, again, like, a lot of this is forward thinking, guys. Never let it be said that capitalists don't think forward into the future, okay? This is part of what makes them so dangerous. Basically, Amazon, by like tracking these like climate movements, essentially acknowledges here tacitly through their internal policy that, like, yeah, pushing for environmental regulations could harm Walmart, or not Walmart, Amazon. Like, upsetting the status quo could harm Amazon. And I think that this is something that we need to be aware of in the future. It's not just oil companies that are against organizing climate change strikes. It's not just oil companies that are trying to put a stop to any kind of change that might rock the boat. It's also these large multinational companies that don't want their native markets to be disturbed. The stated purpose of one of those documents is to highlight potential risks/hazards that may impact Amazon operations in order to meet customer expectation. Like any other responsible business, we maintain a level of security within our operations to help keep our employees, buildings, and inventory safe. Lisa Lewandowski, a spokesperson for Amazon, told Motherboard. That includes having an internal investigations team who work with law enforcement agencies as appropriate. Everything we do is in line with local laws and conducted with the full knowledge and support of local authorities. Any attempt to sensationalize these activities or suggest we're doing something unusual or wrong is irresponsible and incorrect. Lewandowski denied that Amazon hired on-the-grounds operatives and said that any claim that Amazon performs the described activities across its operations was NA, not applicable. In a report from November 2019, however, an analyst wrote that Amazon hired Pinkerton spies who were inserted into a warehouse in Wrocław, Poland, to investigate an allegation that management coached job candidates on how to complete job interviews and possibly even conducted the process for them. The Pinkerton spies were posted in Wrocław, a warehouse known as WRO1, operated by Amazon contractor Adecco, to investigate the allegation, according to the Amazon report. Pinkerton operatives were inserted into WRO, RO1, ADECCO, between 2019-11-19 and 2019-11-21. No identifiable evidence of coaching on behalf of the agency recruiters was observed. The document states, investigative actions to prove/disprove this hypothesis are ongoing. The report refers to the Pinkerton Detective Agency, which in the late 19th and early 20th centuries in the United States supplied detectives to infiltrate unions and hired violent goon squads to intimidate workers from engaging in union activity at steel mills. Today, Pinkerton is a subsidiary of the Swedish security company Securitas AB and has supplied operatives to monitor strikes in West Virginia as recently as 2018. Oh, the Mango Menace is letting GSA start the process? Awesome. We just finished talking about that prior to this story. Thank you for the update, LL Finite. Oh, yeah. Psych and Love. Yeah, Brazil's Bolsonaro is not good. There's a lot going on in Brazil right now that I know of, but at least Lula's free, right? You know, maybe Lula can help your country heal a bit. You know. Trump has a fresh tweet saying he will never concede. Well, you know, it doesn't surprise me. I'm sure he's gonna flip flop back and forth all the way out of the White House. He's gonna be physically flipping and flopping on the way out. You know. Not safe for me to comment on that part. Oh, I'm sorry, friend, but. Know that you're among allies here, okay? Solidarity with our friends in Brazil. Yeah, look, it's Pinkertons. Great. A confrontation between striking steelworkers and the Pinkerton agents in Homestead, Pennsylvania, 1892. Yeah, super great. Super great. Everything was going fine here. Super good when the Pinkertons come around. Let's see. Lewandowski, the Amazon spokesperson, confirmed that Amazon hired Pinkerton Detective Agency. We have business partnerships with specialist companies for many different reasons. In the case of Pinkerton, to secure high-value shipments in transit, she said. We do not use our partners to gather intelligence on warehouse workers. All activities we undertake are fully in line with local laws and conducted with the full knowledge and support of local authorities. Some of the internal reports obtained by Motherboard also suggest that Amazon's risk analysts use the same tactics to monitor its hundreds of thousands of warehouse and delivery drivers throughout the Americas, the Middle East, Australia, and East Asia. It's not enough for Amazon to abuse its dominant market power and face antitrust charges by the EU. Now they're exporting 19th century American union busting tactics to Europe. Christy Hoffman, General Secretary of UNI Global Union, a global federation of trade unions that represents more than 20 million workers, told Motherboard. This is a company that is ignoring the law, spying on workers, and using every page of the U.S. union-busting playbook to silence workers' voices. For years, people have been comparing big tech bosses to 19th century robber barons, she continued. And now by using the Pinkertons to do his dirty work, Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos is making the connection even clearer. In October, Leila Chiabi, member of European Parliament of France, wrote a letter to Bezos, co-signed by 37 members of European Parliament, condemning recent reports that Amazon's interference with worker organizing in Europe. With Jeff Bezos, we're confronted with someone who doesn't simply run a business and sell products, but with someone who's threatening our democracy, Chiabi told Motherboard in response to the news reports about Amazon's surveillance of workers and social movements throughout Europe. This is a big danger to Europe. Guys, imagine how dystopian this is. Also, Ladle and Whisk, thank you very much for hitting that follow button. I very much appreciate it. But imagine how crazy this is, guys. We're already in, like, dystopian future, like, post-apocalypse, right? Like, the European Union is writing to Amazon telling them that the company Amazon, one private company, presents a danger to their entire democracy of an entire continent of people. That's wild, absolutely wild. Kang Din Dun Nuffin Smell Onk. Thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate it. Psych in Love, thank you very much for the follow as well. I very much appreciate it, comrade. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's see. Until recently, little had been made public about Amazon's anti-worker initiatives and strategies, despite years of reports on Amazon's opposition to union activity and alleged retaliation against workers who organize in the United States. And guys, this is why we need to be pro-union, okay? Because otherwise, they're gonna keep crushing you as much as they can. What year is this? Yeah, did we travel back to 1892? In September, after public outcry, Amazon removed 2 job postings for intelligence analysts for its Global Securities Operations Center, who could track labor organizing threats to the company. Fluency, written and spoken of a second language such as Hindi, Tagalog, Spanish, Arabic, French, Mandarin, Korean, Japanese, or Brazilian Portuguese, highly desired, the posting read, suggesting the company is tracking labor organizing activity around the world. UNI, Europa Global Union, coalition of trade unions in the European Union, representing 12 million workers, responded to news of the job posts by demanding the European Commission investigate Amazon's efforts to spy on workers in Europe, calling it potentially illegal. A source with knowledge of the company's intelligence activities told Motherboard that in order to track protests and other labor organizing activity, Amazon intelligence agents create social media accounts without photos and track the online activity of workers leading organizing efforts. Motherboard granted the source anonymity because they feared retaliation from Amazon. When the team stalked people, they'd use fake accounts on social media, they said. They'd use a fake name and profile with no photo. The worst part is they would read tons of conversations and messages and knew everything about the private lives of these people. They knew if they had a bad day with their family. Lewandowski, the spokesperson for Amazon, said it is against company policy to create social media accounts with fake names and photoless profiles. Guys, this is why you don't believe companies. They don't believe companies, guys. They're gonna lie to you. If they have no legal obligation to tell you the truth, they're gonna lie to you. And they're probably gonna lie to you even if they do have a legal obligation to tell you the truth. This is an absolutely massive article. Boo. Boo. Alright. I think you guys get the point.